Hi, everybody. It's Dee Slater with Create with Dee. Good morning. Thanks for letting me reschedule. As mentioned, I didn't pop on here yesterday because we had a contractor that was able to stop over and take a look at a leak that we had gotten developed on our roof here in our house. And while he was here, I was checking off some of my other lists. You know how when you own a home, there's always something that needs done. So our friend went away with a nice laundry list. The most important is he's got a plan to fix our roof. Well, good morning, and I hope that some of you have your cup of coffee and watching the replay since I'm on here bright and early. Well, we are talking about today the napkin technique. Now, this technique I was first introduced to, I think, several years ago with my Stampin' Up! Friend and just friend, Beth. And then I was just thinking about this technique, and then she posted a card with it too. So we both must have just had this technique on our mind. Well, what materials you're going to need to make the napkin technique, of course, is a napkin. Whatever theme that you want to do is great. I have these napkins that I think I got a couple of years ago at Dollar Tree, and they're just festive for this time of the year, so you'll need a napkin. You're also going to need some sort of adhesive to put your napkin on. Now, I've done it with glue sticks before, but sometimes glue sticks can leave it a little bumpy. And so what I really like is adhesive sheets. And you find those, like you can just, when you're online at Stampin' Up, you can Google adhesives, or if you've got the catalog, they're on page 167. Adhesive sheets, they come 6 by 12. Now I have some that have Sizzix on it, and this is what Stampin' Up! Used to carry. It's the same thing. If you get yours just might not have the Sizzix on it, but it's still all good. All right, so let's get started doing this napkin technique. And I'm going to use one card, but kind of show you two ways of doing it, with some sparkly glitter on it and some without. All right, so what you're going to do first is take off the plies of your napkin. Most napkins have at least a 2-ply with it. And by that, what I mean is, there's basically, it's the printed material on the napkin, and then there's the white backing on it. And so you just need to kind of find where to start and just very lightly and gradually take away that ply. So again, you just kind of find, you know how we've all heard of 2-ply toilet tissue. Napkins are kind of the same way. They have plies. That way they have the white backing on it. This is great for like wrapping. It actually acts as tissue paper. So if you want, you can save that for something else. But you want to get it down to where you have your, just the 1 ply. And then you're going to need a backing. Now I'm using basic white. You can use any cardstock, but just know, because your napkin, after you take that ply away, is going to be thin. Whatever you put behind it, you're going to see that background. So like, for example, if I put this green background, it's going to darken it up. But I want it to kind of stay that white background to really show that pumpkin, and do that. So I have this cut a 1/4 of an inch larger than what my actual size is that I'm going to use. I'm going to trim this down eventually to 3 3/4 by 5. So I have this cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And the reason for that is after I put my napkin on it, I want to go back to my trimmer and get crisp edges. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of loosely get this cut down to size now. So I'm just going to overcut my image. And again, this is going to be trimmed down. So I'm just going to, get it so that it's approximately at least the size of my card base. So whether maybe you're making a slim line or something else, you just want it to be slightly, at least I like it slightly oversized. Okay, so after we have that, we are going to take our adhesive sheets. Again, yours might not say this. I've had this, I bought several of them, and these are mine, or these are what I have that have Sizzix. Yours may or may not now with Stampin' Up! When you get those. And what I did is I trimmed it down so that it's the size of my card base that I'm going to use to put the napkin on. So, and how these work, like that peels off, and that kind of gets it started. And then, if you've never worked with these adhesive sheets, they're great. And I like to kind of get it started just a little bit. And sometimes I'll just like take this completely off and put it on here. I've seen others do something like this. And let's try this. So I've peeled back just part of it. And I'll get it started on the top. Get this here. And then get all of my goodies out. And then you can just go ahead and press as you peel down. All right, so once you have this, I like to get a good contact with my bone folder. So the adhesive sheets, just to explain that, that's going to be, that goes pretty quickly once you do your first one. Okay, so we put the adhesive sheets on. Now we're going to peel off the backing of that adhesive sheet. And again, just go slow so that you're not peeling it off so fast that all of that adhesive might be tempted to come off. Okay. All right, so now we're going to take our pretty napkin that we have, and we're going to place it on our base. And this is why I like to make it a little oversized. And we'll place that down. And now I don't want to be too rough with the napkin, but I want to go ahead and get that good contact. And this is where you can try to kind of treat it like wallpaper in a way, if you've ever done that, to try to get the bubbles out of it. I wanted to kind of show you that, like right here, I didn't realize I still had a bubble. It's okay if you have one. No one's going to really notice that. Okay, so now we have this napkin on our piece of cardstock. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and you can take your snips. And if this is the size, a lot of people don't, they use the backing as the exact size that they want to use for their card. For some reason, I like to make it slightly bigger and then come back and trim it. That way, after we do our technique of making sure this napkin isn't going anywhere, I can really neaten that up. But this is the first thing that we want to do, is we're just going to take our scissors and trim off all of that excess. And now that looks like a pretty, card right now, but we need to protect this napkin because this is pretty fragile yet, and it could easily rip the napkin off of it. Let me get some of my other paperwork off of here. So what we want to do is we want to actually emboss this, the front of it. Embossing kind of adds a protective layer to it, and that's what we want to do. I'm going to grab some scrap paper. There we go. Get a grid sheet under here and my well-used Versamark. And we're going to use Versamark and clear embossing powder. We want to use the clear embossing powder because we want our design to remain intact. If we use white or something like that, it's going to cover up all of our pretties here. Okay, so I'm just going to take pad to napkin and press down. And I might go over this a couple of times just to make sure I've got all of the area. And we'll do that. Now I'm going to get my clear embossing powder. And I'm going to pick this up. And I'm going to put the embossing powder all over this. Other containers I have a spoon and a larger one, but the clear I don't. And I'm just going to kind of tap this down, making sure that I have everything covered. I can see that I missed a little spot here on the edges. So when the Versamark again, we'll apply a sticky coating to it to allow the powder to stick on it. I think that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to take this and get my powder back into my container. And now we're going to get out our heat tool. So we're going to do a little heat embossing. And I want to make sure I get my embossing powder all covered up. And I have it on the heat tool on high. It does take just a second for it to really warm up. And with the heat tool, you always want to be moving the nozzle. And just moving it around. This is where if you weren't live, you could speed up the video just a little bit. But we'll get this on here. And you can tell when it starts to heat activate because it'll change color, like right there. Can you see it go? So once that embossing powder heats up, it goes from like a powder coating to a very distinct coating. Like it really, the color starts popping out on it. And I'm just going to kind of move it around. So again, the embossing powder is going to act as a protective layer onto our napkin, as well as add a little interest of a sheen to it as well. So I hope everybody's going to have a great day today. Again, maybe you're waking up, you see that I was live, and kind of get your crafting inspiration of the day. All right, I think I've got everything. I'll go ahead and turn that off. And then you can pick this up and kind of, I'm looking for spots that did not, like right here, I do not have, I must have not hit it with embossing powder or with Versamark. So what I would do is I'm not going to have you guys watch me do this, but what I would do is come back with the Versamark and hit those spots that I missed, do the embossing powder again, and just go until you see that you've got a sheen everywhere. Hi, Margaret. How's it going this morning? I wasn't even expecting anybody to be here with me so early. So anyways, now we've got our napkin secured onto our card base. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down to size that I want. So again, I started with a 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to just trim this slightly, and then this way I can get rid of all of my little edge nuances that I might have. So I'll be back just real quickly. All right, so by making it slightly oversized, again, it allows me that opportunity to trim it. And then now I can treat this just like any other layering piece. So I'm gonna go ahead, I've got some garden green here, and I'm gonna put my liquid glue, get it started. Let me grab another one. That's got some in it, but it's not coming down. I always think I have one more little thing in my liquid glue, and sometimes it is absolutely empty on it. Oh, well, thanks, Margaret. I'm glad that you're liking the video, or at least finding it interesting. All right, so now I'm going to mat this. And I've got this on some crushed curry card base. Just find something that matches. And, you know, you can do this and you have a cute little card. Now, you might have noticed on my sample that mine is a little extra sparkly. So I'm actually going to do a little twofer video here on it. If you want to make it extra razzle-dazzle, like you can see here, it's really all sorts of glittery. The embossing will give it a shine, but it won't have the glitter on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Versamark again, and Stampin' Up! Used to have Dazzling Diamonds glitter. I don't know if any of you still have some of that. It was always like the best glitter. They're not carrying glitter anymore, so you might have some of this in your stash or other brand. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add Dazzling Diamond glitter right on top of this. And so I'm going to take my Versamark again. Oh, you've never made, how did you do it, Margaret? How did you do the card? I'd be interested in hearing that. So I'm going to go ahead and, oops, I should have put my paper down again. Darn it. Grab some, I've got some paper here. Got Versamark all over my system here. And you could do this before you layered it. I just kind of wanted it, you know, it's kind of parts or parts on it. So I added some Versamark again on here. And I'm gonna add my glitter. I've got a dimensional backing in there. This is how most of my embossing powder and glitter looks. I have it in a little tub like this and a plastic spoon just ready to go on it. And we'll put this. Okay, so now you can see that it's really sparkly, and it is on there with the Versamark. However, it would be a hot mess to send because the glitter's not secured down. Like if I touch this, I've got glitter. I could get glitter all on my hands. But what the beauty of Versamark and glitter is that, again, we're going to bring our heat tool in, excuse me, and I'm going to heat set that glitter. And I'll share with you here after I get this heat set on here, the glitter a little bit, I'll share with you another way that you could skip a step if you're going to do this. Oh, there you go. Adhesive spray. That would be great. Well, wonderful. Thank you, Margaret. Yeah, it's a really fun technique. It's like, you know, sometimes for the holidays, we might say, oh, there's, you know, 6 people or 8 people coming over and you get a couple of packs of napkins. So I always have, you know, extra of the napkins from an event. And then, you know, I have these ones and twosies around. And if you don't want to store it, you could go ahead and make cards from it. It's getting very glittery. Once you have your heat tool, once you use it, it's, you know, kind of preheated then, and it does pretty good. All right, so Oh my gosh, I love it when my workstation's all glittery. All right, so I'm gonna try to wipe off the glitter from my hands, but now once you heat set it, like it still has a little more, it's still a little, like the glitter hasn't quite melted yet. And who knows, this Versamark, get a juicy Versamark. This one is my one that I use for all sorts of things, and I probably needed a little more, I probably should have re-inked it. But keep going back until when you touch it that you don't have glitter coming off. Oh, isn't that so pretty? Either way that you want to do it. And then again, once you have your glitter heat set well, you can go ahead and layer it. And then I just wanted to do a simple sentiment on it. And I don't know why, like I've had Banner Year for, I think it was introduced last year, and I never really pulled it out that much. And I have been using, like I have just been finding, I've been using Banner Year all this season. I just absolutely love it. And so I'm gonna be using the Happy Thanksgiving. And I thought that the Merry Merlot was a perfect match for the flower in this one. And we just need a little, piece of scrap cardstock that matches your background. At least that's how I did it. So it's just a little 1/2-inch strip. I'm gonna ink up our Happy Thanksgiving, and I'm going to stamp it towards the left-hand side. And get that closed up. And I'm just gonna take my snips and kind of just end it where I want it. And then I just kind of have it mirrored or married up to the edge. And you just kind of find a spot that it's not going to interfere too much with the stamping image on it, or the napkin image, like what we have here. And that's it. So whether you want it just embossed or you want to add a little glitz to it, you can. Now, if you know you're going to do the diamond or the glitter on it, you don't have to do the clear embossing step. I just did that because it was already there and we didn't have to start from scratch. What you can use for glitter is Stampin' Up's Heat and Stick. Heat and Stick, you treat it the same way as embossing powder. And you heat it up on the project to heat activate it. So you do the Versamark, put the heat and stick powder on it, but then what it does, it acts as a little stickiness on it. Then you put your glitter, and then you use your heat tool to heat set it and do that. So if you know you're gonna do the glitter, you could save that step if you have the heat and stick. But if you don't have the heat and stick, you can do that double step. Okay, so I wanted to share with you what happens if you don't have your all of your plies off of it. All right, so my mom, she had this very pretty napkin here, and I said, oh my gosh, Mom, let me use this for another napkin technique on it. And plus, I think she would have liked these cards. Look how pretty this napkin is. So I did just that step that you had seen there. I had taken off the ply and did my adhesive sheets. And then when I went to do it, I'm like, well, what is going on? Why is this like so loosey-goosey? This particular napkin actually had another ply on it. So if you don't get enough ply, if you don't get down to the basic, like just the single sheet on it, you're going to end up with what I did here. The ply will stick to it. So you'll know instantly if you didn't get enough of the ply off of it. So I think this was from like a Hallmark store, so versus the Dollar Tree. And so just make sure that when you're taking your plies out, that you're really getting down to the nitty gritty. I kind of cut this one down to the size that I wanted at first, but again, it's like I really needed to get down to that ply. So that was a little lesson learned that I wanted to share with you guys to make sure you're, you just really see this very translucent pattern on it. Otherwise, this is what you're gonna get. All right, good morning, Rita. All right, well, thanks you guys for tuning in, and I hope that maybe you share or you get a chance to try the napkin technique. If you do, boy, I would love to see it. Share it here on my Create with D Facebook page. Just post a picture of your creation, whether you did the embossing or you did the glitter, and it's kind of fun to see all of the different napkins that are out there too. All right, you guys have a great Wednesday. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.